By using AI and machine learning, we can automate the tracking of all the customer requirements.
And I mean,
And
statistics
then
have proven.
keep giving feedback. Now that is what will build trust. For good user interfaces, you have to be able to role play. You have to imagine yourself to be a farmer, play that role, and multiple people have to do this. Then only we can come up with solutions which are close enough to what is acceptable.
Hi everyone, welcome to Dvara Tech Talks. Today's interaction is in the intersection between AI, technology, agriculture and financial inclusion. Spaces that are absolutely indispensable and inseparable in today's Indian context. To discuss in today's topic, I have with me today Mr. Ravindra Shivade, a technology consultant and seasoned expert working with Dvara e-registry. He brings to the table innovative ideas and AI models that don't just work at the AI level but which can be implemented at the field level. It is great to have you here with us, Ravindra Shivade. Thank you for being part of this interview. If you could throw some light on how this started for you, your journey, we would love to hear a lot more about it.
Actually, if you don't mind, I'll go backwards.
Okay.
How I joined Dvara and what we've been trying to do, because I think the reason I joined Dvara was I found their mission to be very interesting from my perspective. So there were two aspects to it. One was, of course, related to financial inclusion, and the second aspect was a sort of direct intervention into the FPO environment that was coming up.
The farmer producer companies.
The farmer producer organizations. And Dvara was acting as a CBBO. So the involvement of Dvara e-registry was not going to be only restricted to financial inclusion, but also to the overall productivity and access to markets for the farmers through the FPO network that Dvara helped build up. And prior to joining Dvara, almost for 14 years, I was working in the commodities spot market, which was, this company was a subsidiary of a commodities exchange, NCDEX. And so I had implemented several different projects while I was at, and many of them related to farmers. That is why this sort of interested me at the time, what Dvara was doing. And so the mission was, I felt I could contribute there. And so I was handling both the Doordrashti platform itself as well as the analytics part of the solutions that Dvara was building up. Namely, it was the Khet score at that time, but there was clearly a vision to build on that, and so I joined. And I was closely associated with the Doordrashti platform till about last financial year. And since then, the scope of the work of Dvara e-registry has expanded. And the most attractive thing which has come up in the last few years is, of course, the whole set of developments in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so these areas interested me quite a lot. And so I thought for Dvara I would focus on these. And one of the things I think I bring to the table is two things: solutions which work long term. So most of the solutions which I have helped build earlier, in my earlier career, they have been operating for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. And so I thought for Dvara I would focus on these. And one of the things I think I bring to the table is solutions which work long term. So most of the solutions which I have helped build earlier, in my earlier career, they have been operating for 10 years, 15 years, without much change.
They're still very much relevant.
They are very much, even today, those solutions are being, I mean, I can name them, but those solutions are still being used.
Built to last.
Yeah, so what is built is the perfect fit for what was required there. That is what it tells you. If you understand what the customer, first understand who's your customer and what the customer needs, and if you build a solution around those requirements, using obviously the latest technological tools that are available. Dvara is not a company which develops some new AI tools or new machine learning tools, but it's in the domain of using the available latest tools for its customers.
Solving real world problems, you mean, directly
Yes,
via
using
technology.
That's the focus. At the same time, these solutions have to be long lasting and scalable. These are the two critical requirements. And in terms of scalability, I have a lot of experience. Many of the platforms that I have built earlier have been for a very large scale. So I thought I could contribute, and that's why I joined Dvara, and I'm enjoying this. Currently what we are trying to do, and of course there's a lot more to be done, but we are getting some traction. For example, some of the projects that we are working on is using remote sensing in a more meaningful way. So far we have been using it as a sort of replacement for credit score, find what we call K score, but now there are other solutions which can be built, which can be used to guide the farmers during their cropping cycle, which can be used then to even do market linkages. For example, we are now trying to build a agricultural produce price forecasting system using some machine learning model. Now that's absolutely relevant. Currently, of course, this is being done as a sort of pilot in the state of Odisha. We expect this to be, we should be able to roll it out and get good input from remote sensing data, which will serve as a factor in this forecast model. The other important aspect of this is this also gives us an opportunity to analyze the data for the past 10 years, 15 years, and see how the production patterns have changed for different commodities.
Okay.
How the productivity has changed. And this analysis helps us in building models for cropping patterns and for actually computing the risk to an individual farmer in terms of climate risk. See, because climate doesn't change overnight. See, the climate related aspects you can bring in if the tenure of climate change and the tenure of lending matches. See, I need to assess climate related risk if I am giving a 5-year or 10-year loan. The climate impact doesn't happen in one season or 1 year. So, from an immediate assessment perspective, climate is not a factor except to the extent of specific crops. Are they likely to
get
damaged and so on. So that is a very short term. It cannot be called climate change, but because of ongoing climate change, if risk for certain crops increase or climate events can be catastrophic for certain crops, that assessment makes sense. But overall climate change direction, because of the tenure mismatch, doesn't make sense. At that time, I used to visit all these markets, interact with farmers, interact with traders very extensively. So I had that ground level exposure. And one of the things I realized while implementing that project was that finance is the key. See, why don't farmers get a good price? Because at harvest time, the trader's capacity to buy is limited by their own finances.
Understood. Yeah, makes sense.
Because none of these traders are big traders. They are small traders. They have limited finances and they don't have access to bank finance many cases.
Correct.
So they can't buy much. If they can't buy much, they are going to put a low price to whatever they buy.
Correct,
And
correct.
then in turn farmers would get a lower
Price, correct.
So this is the sort of a vicious circle. We tried to build some financial solutions for the traders at that time, but that didn't succeed for whatever reasons. I will not go into that. So this was one very interesting project.
Now, having said that, where do you see the single biggest bottleneck in deploying AI-based or machine learning solution into the Indian farm ecosystem?
Okay, so let me look at this question in the perspective. So, no user decides that I want this technology. Similarly, farmer doesn't say I want this technology. So, if you are trying to sell farmer the technology, that in itself may not work.
Fair.
Farmer has problems and you need to address those problems through solutions which may use the latest available tools, which include artificial intelligence. And so, but what has been happening is that farmer would not adopt them very easily. There are, at least from a farmer's perspective, there are three aspects. One is, of course, his farming practices, the crops that he selects, the way he does the farming, etc., etc. Second is access to finance, right? And third is market linkages, both for the input and output.
Correct.
Okay. Now, these kinds of technologies like AI, ML, etc., whether on paper today it is possible to use this, and we are trying to obviously incorporate this. It cannot be incorporated easily. Now let me give you one example. So what do I need if I want to advise the farmer? I need to know where his farm is, and I need the geo coordinates of his farm.
Correct.
Without that, I will not be able to advise the farmer what to do. I will not be able to advise him for market linkages. I would not be able to estimate what input he needs. But how does he, if I tell him, go digitize your farm, how is he going to do it?
He would not be in a position to do it easily.
Because he will have 100 questions and there are thousands and millions of farmers. How do you, so even though you build a solution, so your solution has to be appropriate, and farmer must see some immediate use of that solution. So remote sensing or even drone surveys and all kinds of technologies can be used, right? But these will not give farmer a result immediately.
Absolutely.
And you need to build that trust in technology. Now, you take an application like WhatsApp. Everybody uses WhatsApp.
Correct.
Farmers use WhatsApp. Nobody trained them on it, right? There's no formal training program for it.
Yeah.
How does that get so scaled up? So what we need to do, we need to sort of seed this necessity among some farmers where they can start this, and then their village friends and others can see the benefit of it.
Of course, there's nothing more better.
So you have a 6-month crop cycle. So you can't see that benefit even if you advise the farmer very well and he gets benefit. He will get benefit after 6 months.
Correct.
At least one crop season.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this is the problem. I mean, it's a genuine problem. So we need to build something where, so even say getting a loan, we are trying to sort of reduce the time from application to disbursement, and we have been consistently reducing that time. Now that helps, that builds trust for the farmer, that if I go to Dvara e-registry, if I am eligible, I'll get a loan in 2 days. So obviously then he will tell 10 of his friends.
Absolutely.
So this is what is required. And Of course, we need a lot of effort and we need a lot continuous improvement in the kind of solutions that we offer. See, one of the problems is it's not just the farmer that we need to convince. We need to convince the finance lending institutions. The lending institutions don't believe in AIML as yet, as much as maybe even I can say that farmer probably believes in AIML more than the lending institutions. No, but that's a fact. Because of the processes which have been set up. I mean, we have been facing challenges integrating with lending institutions, because if we want to disburse the loan within 2 days, we need to be fully integrated with the lender. But the lender has to trust that if I give a KIT score, if I give an assessment which is using AIML, they need to trust it, right?
Understood, yes.
So, but what would happen is that we assess the eligibility of the farmer to get a loan and what size of the loan, but the financial institution would do this all over again.
Correct, yeah.
So the time extends.
Yes.
And then if you don't have good enough integration with the lender's systems, this is a big challenge. So it's not just dependent on the farmer's acceptance level. Right?
See, we have spoken about AI, machine learning, and it was quite an interesting fact that you brought about that the farmers are more adaptive than the actual trader systems. That was a new perspective. So, in this, if you could, let's say, if you could fix one thing in the next 12 months, if you had the resources and the right kind of environment, what would that be?
So, what we are trying to build is, something which the farmers can use and which will be useful to them. Not necessarily what we think is the best, but whatever they want.
Okay.
Right? So we need to do that exercise, test it out with a few farmers or few FPOs, and what is it that they miss? What are they not getting? For example, price forecast. So we are trying to build a forecasting system where we will give 7-day forecast, 4-week forecast, 12-week forecast. Now, the 7-day forecast, and we give market prices at various markets nearby. So, farmer should be able to decide which day he should go to which market with his produce. At least he will get a slightly better price.
Absolutely.
So, that is the purpose of the 7-day forecast.
Okay.
1 month forecast is that his harvest is 1 month away. So he can do a trade with a trader.
Okay.
If he has sizable volume.
Okay.
If he doesn't have sizable volume, he will have to take it to a market. But if he has sizable volume, he can fix a forward contract 1 month ahead of time.
Nice.
Fix his price.
Okay.
So that is what the 4-week forecast will help him. And the 12-week forecast is for the sowing decision.
Okay.
We want to take it to a level where we should be able to, using these kinds of tools, AIML tools, we want to be able to advise the farmer what crop has the least risk for him given his piece of land.
Okay.
So,
and other possible potential variables.
Yes. So, for example, climate change is a variable in this.
Yes.
So, but obviously always there will be a set of crops and farmer has to decide, because in some crops the reward would be higher but the risk also would be higher. So depending on the farmer's position, he can decide what is the best risk reward relation that he wants to choose.
Understood.
But at least to present him those opportunities.
Yes.
Right?
The analytics is crucial.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we should be able, in a position to tell the farmer, use our forecast data, use our other analysis, and be able to say that on your piece of land, these are the options that you have. Otherwise, there is a herd mentality among farmers. What they do is, because everybody in the village is doing some XYZ crop, he would also want to do XYZ crop. And after 5 years, 10 years, that thing somehow changes. Everybody switches to another crop.
Okay.
And that's sometimes it is because of the market.
What if, in case, I want to pose a hypothetical question to you. If the satellite data contradicts or the prediction is going to be contradictory to what at field level the field agent or the farmer is predicting. Okay, how would you solve for it?
So the predictions are always done with a sort of what is the margin of error, right, in the prediction. That has to be done. It's not without some margin of error.
Understood.
And that is why, this is something we are doing now. So it would take at least 2-3 years for us to establish this and assure ourselves that our predictions are working.
How are we developing solutions that make it easier for farmers to be onboarded and use the solution so that this kind of empirical data which is required at this stage is also is something that we can take from this? But it all comes down to technology adoption, right?
Well, it's very difficult to talk about this in abstract terms. So I'll give you one or two examples.
Yes, please.
Okay. So one is, for example, for crop insurance. Now, the way crop insurance works is at a village level, block level, etc. They only take into account, major disaster events like floods or droughts or cyclones and
Force
such
major
things,
events
right?
where only force major events are usually considered.
Yeah, but what is possible is that if we have a micro level technology application, for example, we are trying to do image based insurance and we want to incorporate that as part of the claims process.
Okay.
So we want to incorporate the farmer's farming history in the form of K-score to be able to offer variable premium for crop insurance.
Oh, okay.
So that's one innovation where you don't have to apply the same premium to every farmer or just based on crop. You can apply this based on specific conditions. How that farmer has been producing in his own field for last 3 years, last 5 years. So that can help set the premium. So you know how risky this farmer is. And then include this image-based processing as part of the claims process. You don't need a separate verification process for a claim. So the claim processing becomes faster, it becomes more reliable, it's completely non-subjective, right? Otherwise today's claims processing is subjective. Some insurance assessor would go there and actually try and assess the damage, etc. Or it would go by the area level statistics and so on, right? So this is very important. And interestingly, I met a couple of insurance companies who are very keen to work on these kinds of innovations.
Absolutely.
So for example, now with AI, we can offer fully voice-based user interface. So fully voice-based we can do, and we are trying to do that.
Okay.
Because today we have the AI tools available to do that in their language fully.
Vernacular language, of course.
Okay, so you don't have to keep typing, filling up forms, etc. Purely voice-based.
What is your name? You say your name. What is the
no? Otherwise, traditional way is okay. I have 1 ton of paddy, and I want to sell it, but you have to fill up a form today.
Absolutely.
And that is what we did in our farmer app earlier.
Okay.
Now what we are trying to say, he can just say I know his location because of all the mobile devices, etc. The sophisticated tooling that we have, and I can ask him, when are you selling, what is the variety? So I get all the details purely in a conversational manner.
Wonderful.
Without having to go there. That's the use of technology. Make the whole interaction easy and then follow it up. It's not just that, because today what happens, I take the requirement from the farmer that I want to sell so much. But then I'm not giving him any feedback for 15 days, for 30 days. Next time our representative goes there, he asks him, Kya hua? What happened? Then I say, oh, then even that guy doesn't know that this guy had put a requirement there.
Okay.
By using AI and machine learning, we can automate the tracking of all the customer requirements.
And I mean,
And
statistics
then
have proven.
keep giving feedback. Now that is what will build trust.
Exactly. That's exactly what statistics have proven as well, saying that the
But
more
it's not just the
engaging.
use of technology. You see, you have to understand the situation, what he needs. See, there is a lot to do. For good user interfaces, you have to be able to role play. You have to imagine yourself to be a farmer, play that role, and multiple
Absolutely.
people have to do this. Then only we can come up with solutions which are close enough to what is acceptable.
That was very interesting, Ravindra. We have spoken so much about how today's technology should adequately fill the gap between tradition and technology and marry and give us an outcome that is much more favorable and easier for use for farmers, while they avail benefits from companies like Dvara registry to have a more inclusive and credit inclusive ecosystem into their farming segments. Thank you so much for that. With that, I think we will meet again for episode 2.
Okay, thank you.